So the World Cup is nearly upon us, and in the Germany squad, there is one man who is persistent throughout the whole time, especially in the World Cups I have been conscious for. And that man is Manuel Neuer. So I think it's right to look back at some of the goalkeepers that have played for Germany now over the World Cup. And you can tell I'm really scraping the barrel here. So obviously the first person to start with is Manuel Neuer. Will be at his 5th World Cup if he does play. He could be injured. He has made 124 appearances for the German national team, which makes him the highest scoring goalkeeper. And again, from like his club level performances, it's safe to say that he's the GOAT of goalkeepers. I think that's fair to say. And he's had major moments in goal for Germany, such as like Algeria in 2014, where he made several important saves, and Germany ultimately won that game in extra time. But he's also had infamous moments too, whether that be in 2010 when he picked the ball off the line, or picked the ball up when it went over the line against England and said, "Oh no, it didn't count," and the 2014 final when he clattered into Higuain, and reminiscent of another goalkeeper who we'll get to. And in 2018, when he runs forward to try and help Germany back in the game, we allowed South Korea, or Heung-min Son, to score for South Korea and knock Germany out of the World Cup. And then 2022 is just shit, as was most of the Germany side. And he's back again. Obviously, we're now 12 years since Neuer's last good moment in a Germany shirt. And I think that should really tell you, or again, in the previous video, reacting to the squad, I made it clear that I don't think Neuer should be there, and I stand by that. It's the fact he's injured, and he may not play. If his injury doesn't recover in time, then Oliver Baumann will be number 1 in 12 days' time. No, it's sooner than that. No, it is 12. It is 12 days' time when they play Curacao. And then it'd be like, what was the point of this? Like Neuer coming back just to be injured. But as I said, he's led Germany in goal as the number 1 in 2010, 2014, 2018, 2022, and potentially 2026 as well. And now on Neuer, obviously this absolutely does not credit anything he has done in his life or career. But a turn of events which has allowed this to happen, or allowed Neuer to become number 1. So Neuer became Germany number 1 at the age of 24 in 2010. And this was through 2 moments or incidents. First, René Adler, who was ahead of Neuer in the pecking order. So Neuer was basically more or less third choice, and I think he probably would have went to the World Cup as third choice. And so René Adler broke his rib, so that meant Neuer was now number 2 and competing with Robert Enke for the number 1 position at the 2010 World Cup. Neuer had got his running goal because Enke had been injured. However, in November of 2009, Robert Enke killed himself because he was suffering with depression and stuff after the loss of his daughter. There's obviously a great book about this called A Life Too Short. And that event then meant obviously Germany needed a number 1. And Manuel Neuer was promoted to number 1, and he's held that position ever since. And so, obviously, I'm not saying this is like a gotcha moment for Neuer, because obviously this absolutely isn't. I'm just pointing out that the reason Neuer was able to become number 1 was because of this. Obviously, it's a horrible way to do that. The first 3 goalkeepers I'm going to mention all play for Bayern. The next one is Sepp Maier. He's obviously Bayern's first great goalkeeper. He played 95 times for Germany. He played in 4 World Cups. He was picked for 4 World Cups, so he was in the squad in 1966 when West Germany lost in the semi-final, or in the final to England. He played in 1970, played in 1974 and 78. Neuer played a key role in obviously not only Bayern's immense dominance, but he also winning the World Cup in 1974 at home with the likes of Franz Beckenbauer, Gerd Müller, whatever, and the Euros 2 years earlier, also at home. And Neuer has won German Football of the Year 3 times, and he's mostly known for his eccentricity in his personality, and on the pitch too as well. The next goalkeeper is Oliver Kahn. He actually never won the World Cup for Germany. He was also only started in 1 World Cup in 2002. So he was 3rd choice in 94. In 98, he was 2nd choice. Then the next goalkeeper, we'll get 2 steps aside. Kahn became number 1 in 2002. And then in 2006, he was then demoted again to backup because head coach at the time, Jürgen Klinsmann, preferred Jens Lehmann as the number 1. But obviously, in terms of like Oliver Kahn as a goalkeeper, the 2002 World Cup was his like crowning moment in a way, in terms of like his ability as a player. So Germany was shit. Like they really shouldn't have gone as far as they did in the 2002 World Cup. Old, decrepit team. They stunk up the Euros the year beforehand. But basically, thanks to the heroics of Kahn, he more or less dragged them to the final, where they would beat or lose to Brazil. And for his performances, he won Best Player of the tournament, so the Golden Ball, which no one has been able to do, or no goalkeeper has been able to do since. And so far, he's the only goalkeeper to have done that too. Obviously, Kahn, a very volatile character, and like hardcore, really. The person that Kahn replaced as number 1 was Andreas Kupka. He made 59 appearances for Germany. He won the World Cup in 1990 as backup, and then the Euros in 96 as starter. He also won the World Cup as a goalkeeping coach in 2014 too. Kupka really made his name at Nuremberg, but he would also play for the likes of Eintracht Frankfurt and Marseille. And the person that Kupka was behind in 1990 was Bodo Illgner. He played for Cologne and Real Madrid, and he was the starting goalkeeper as Germany won the World Cup in 1990, and he played a key role in that win, especially with his performance in the semi-final against England. Then the final goalkeeper is Toni Schumacher. Now, Toni Schumacher played for Cologne most of his career, if not all of it, and he, in the context of World Cup lore, he's become infamous. So he played in goal at 2 World Cups, 1982 and 1986, but he's remembered for one reason, and one reason only. This was in the semi-final against France. It was 1-1, and a long ball is played over the West Germany defence, and French player Patrick Battiston gets to it and kind of like flicks it away from Schumacher. But then Schumacher just straight collides into Battiston, which knocks him unconscious, and it meant he had to be subbed off. He'd only been subbed on 10 minutes earlier. He ended up with 2 missing teeth, 3 cracked ribs, damage in his spine, and no foul was given. And that has basically made Schumacher the most hated person, and then obviously Germany would go on to lose in the final against Italy. So some sort of revenge, if you want to say that. But Schumacher's just become the most disliked person in potentially World Cup history, but definitely the most disliked person in France. What hasn't helped is he has came out and said, you know, he doesn't regret it. And a poll was done in France at one point. Who is the least popular German in France? Bearing in mind, 50 years earlier, a small German-Austrian man invaded the country. That small German man finished second in the poll behind Schumacher. And basically that's what has gone on to define Schumacher's career. I mean, I'm talking about it now. It's what people remember him by. And so he was previously since retiring, he was vice president of Cologne, and then he's kind of disappeared. Also, what didn't help him is he released an autobiography, and he just talks shit about those German fellow teammates, whether it was legitimate or not, who knows. And it basically got him exiled from the German national team and his club at the time, Cologne. So they are some of the goalkeepers that played for Germany over the years at World Cups. I'm pretty sure it's basically every goalkeeper that played for Germany since 1970. Who will play for Germany in 2030? I have no idea. I swear to God, I hope it's not Neuer. You've got the likes of Alexander Nubel, Finn Darman, Jonas Erbig, Noah Tebolu, Mio Backhaus. I imagine it probably between those latter three, Erbig, Atebolo and Backhaus. And it also depends who the head coach is as well. But let me know what you think about the goalkeepers. It's probably shorter than usual. As I said, I'm really scraping the barrel. There'll probably be a video on Germany itself, closer to the World Cup game. I may do a preview of some sort. I don't know yet. I haven't actually thought about it. But let me know what you think about the goalkeepers and who you think could potentially be number one in the future.